Hello, and thank you for joining me. Today I'm using the Chamel Reasons to Smile project pad to create a 12 by 12 layout for my 2011 album. This is a picture of my grandparents. I have already picked the pattern paper I want to use. So I'm going to use, and I also have an idea of what the design I'm going to be using. I also have this project card that I thought goes really well with this polka dot paper since each of those lines is a different color and it goes with this multicolored polka dot. I'm also bringing in this reddish orangey solid paper just to create a little bit more contrast between that polka dot and the white background. It also matches what they are wearing. Their uniform is red. So I'm gonna try to follow the design that I had on that polka dot so that I am showing quite a bit of this red. I'm still not satisfied with it, so I'm gonna go in and just rip a little bit more so that more of that red is showing, and I have a good amount of both of these papers out. Once I am satisfied with that, I'm gonna glue both of these down. So just bear with me here as I rip a little bit more off that paper and make sure that everything looks good and how I want it to look. As I said, I came in with an idea of what I wanted this layout to look like. So now I'm gonna bring in a mustard seed distress ink to go around this project card. The idea here is to ink the edges just to give this card a little bit more of a finished look. I cut this up from a cut apart sheet from that project pad, and I want to make sure that it just looks good and it stands out a little bit. So here I decided I am gonna mat this picture, and I'm going to use that same red orangey paper, but instead of using up a good chunk of it to back my photo, I'm just gonna cut out some strips and use that to go around and create a border for my picture. So I cut about half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch, and that's what I'm gonna use to create that border that you'll see in a little bit. This is a trick I learned a few years ago from Laura Alberts. I don't think she's on YouTube anymore, but she used to do that. And when you don't have a lot of paper and you want to keep the same colors, I think that's a good idea. Now I'm playing around with this, just trying to see where I want things to go, how I want them to go, if I want to tuck in that card or which side I want to have the card in. I don't really like this. The pictures, I feel like it's covering a little too much of that edge. And then the right side of my layout is feeling a little empty. So I decided to go ahead and just cut another strip of this polka dot paper, and I'm gonna add it to the right side of my layout and just to give it a little bit of a finish. So I'm just tearing it a little bit because I don't want it to poke out so much. And then I just go on my trimmer, trim that out, and I add it here. Now I'm gonna come in and glue that right side down, and once both sides are down, I fidget with that picture and that card a little bit more. Again, just trying to find the right placement so that I'm not covering up too much of those rips. I want that to show. I settle for the picture on the right and the journaling card on the left, and then I go into my stash of alphas to see if I can find an alpha that works. I was first going to go with red, and I found that one that I really like, but that sheet was only the second half of the alphabets, so I didn't feel like I could spell anything with that. I end up putting it back, but just showing you kind of the process and comparing that color with my picture. Unfortunately, that didn't work. So this is where I realized that I don't actually have the alphabet, so I can't use it. And I just put it back, and I go back into my stash and I look at yellow alphas because I thought since their uniforms are red and yellow, if I can't do the red, then the yellow would be a good color. Um, I have this yellow here that I felt was perfect, so that was easy. I do go through the other colors just to be sure, but I settle on this one. I don't have a lot of yellow and oranges. I don't love those colors, so I don't scrapbook with those colors often. But I just recently got a box of alphas, and I got a lot of variety, including these ones, so I'm glad I'm using them up and getting them into a layout rather than just having them sit in my stash. So I am using a little bit of parchment paper here to stick those letters. This allows me to visualize it in the layout and see how it's going to look and kind of play around with it before I stick anything down. Um, I bring out my T-square ruler, and that's going to help me make sure that everything is straight and where I want it to be. I fast forward because you guys don't need to watch me glue down those alphas. I am going to glue down that journaling card, and I'm just going to slightly tuck it under my picture and have it slightly crooked. And I also found this camera wood veneer that I thought would look really nice. So I'm gonna use a little bit of glue just to glue that down on the corner here. And once I have that down, I go look for some more embellishments to add to this page. I'm loving how this is turning out, but I just felt like I needed to add a little bit more. And again, I fidget with the placement of this camera for a little bit, and then I settle on having it in that corner of the picture. I hold that down for a little bit just to make sure that it stays glued to the page and that it's not going anywhere. I'm now going to go back into that project pad and I'm going to bring out that sticker sheet that comes with it. I'm trying to use, and I knew that this was going to match perfectly the colors because it's part of the same set, and I'm just trying to make a dent on my stash. So I found these little stars and the heart. I'm adding all those there. I'm trying to create a visual triangle. I like how those look. There's a lot on this sticker sheet, a lot of like cozy and home things. Um, so not everything matches this picture, but I felt like the little stars and hearts went really well. Again, just taking another look at the sticker sheet, making sure there's nothing else I want to use. I thought about using some of those florals, but decided against it. I also, none of those word phrases matched the theme of my layout, so I didn't use those. I then go into my enamel dot stash and look for some enamel dots that I thought would match, and I'm auditioning some red and some yellow ones, just trying to see what I want to use. I've had these ones for quite a while and I really like these. They are they have an ombre effect to them, and I kind of hoarded them for quite a while. So I'm glad I'm getting it on a page and having it out of my stash and into an album where I can look at them and admire them. I've now added my journaling. I'm making sure everything is stuck down, and that's gonna be it. Here are some still shots of some of these embellishment clusters. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye!